What's going on, guys? So welcome to a Escape from Tarkov video today. So we're going to be looking at the beginner's guide for Escape from Tarkov. So today I'm going to go over the absolute basics in sort of getting started in Tarkov and what you can expect. So you can think of this as sort of a tutorial into Escape from Tarkov, because as you might notice from the menu as soon as you open up, there isn't one. So we're going to get you started and figure out what you've got to do to get going in this ridiculously complicated game. So first of all, I just want to say thanks for the support for everyone on the stream. You can catch me live anytime at twitchtv.chrizbo, and I will drop that link just below as well so you guys can check that out. But anyway, let's get into the guide for this one. So USEC is an American, so you'll have sort of an American voice, sort of M4s, that sort of thing. The bear is a Russian character, so you'll tend to get more sort of AKs, that sort of thing. But this one will come down to your preference, so don't think too hard into it. Every wipe you get that choice again anyway. So, and then once that is all selected, you should come into the main menu, which you're seeing in front of me here. So as a basic rundown, you want to start off, go into your character screen. So immediately you're going to be met with a ridiculous amount of information. So let me break this down for you. So the left side here is going to be your character's currently equipped information. So this is your, your helmets, your headphones, face covers, armbands, bodyguard, eyewear, weapons, your tactical rig, backpack, couple of pockets, and your container. So your container will depend on which version you've got of the game. On the right hand side, you've got your stash, which is your collection of everything you've brought out for your raid. So this is the stuff that you can bring in as a PMC, and this is the stuff that you will use for your raids. Collect, it's where you store your stuff for your different quests, that sort of thing. So this is going to be the page you'll spend most of your time on. But when it comes to beginning off, you will only have a select amount of things. So what I would recommend when you start off, toss away everything that you've got on your left hand side. Just bring yourself a little pistol. So for an AK, for instance, it'll work pretty much the same. You just want to make sure that you've got a mag that's going to work for it. So let's imagine this is your pistol here, or your AK, whatever you want to bring in. Like you know your own character, but whilst you're learning it, I would fully recommend just bringing in something that's very disposable. If you want to know if a magazine is going to work for it, because you'll have a couple of different magazines from the start, if you hold the magazine, you can see that my gun is lighting up green. That means that it is compatible with it. Same thing with the ammo. So if I have an empty magazine and I want to know if my ammo works for it, I'm holding it and it goes green. You can see the orange is a container with space available to accept it. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag that back into mag, drag that mag into the gun, and you can see we've got 30 out of 30, which means your gun is loaded and ready to go. So we're just going to chuck that one there. So you need to have usually I recommend having a secondary magazine, either in your rig or in your pockets if you can fit it in there. If you're using the pistol at the start, maybe leave the rig at home and just use the magazine in there. You will also need meds if you're going to go into a raid. So what sort of meds might you need? When you first start off, there aren't a huge amount available. So I'm going to head over to the therapist to show you the ones that you are likely to have in the beginning, which is going to be the AI2 or the cheese. So this is going to be health meds. So this will heal you for your total HP, but won't stop certain things. So whilst you are in the raid, if you get shot, if you fall off of somewhere high up, there's a good chance that you can break one of your limbs. So you will need a splint. These are available from the therapist at level 1 as well, so that's one of the vendors. This one will repair one of your legs. It's one use per limb. So if you break both your legs, you will need 2 splints. And if you know, sometimes in Tarkov, people will pepper you with some bullets. And if that is the case and you are taking some bullets, you may receive either light bleeding or heavy bleeding. And I'm sure you can imagine what that means. It means that you are bleeding. And you better get that patched up because you're about to die, boy. So how do we fix bleeding? Well, for light bleeding, you need a bandage. You can use either the white one or the green one, which looks a little dirty, but don't worry, it should still be sanitary. For the heavy bleeding, you have got the S-March. So that is a lot of meds to bring in total. So you might not have a lot of space for that. As you get into the game and you start to unlock more and more, hit those medical supplies up, you'll start to notice that you'll get better loot even meds. So a great med in the early game is the Salewa kit. So this one basically acts as 4 cheese, can stop light and heavy bleeding. It's a great 2-slotter. As you get further down, you can look at stuff like the Grizzlies. They're insane too. I would tend to stay away from the car kits. Like in the early game, they can be okay. They are a bandage mixed with 2 cheese. They're not incredibly efficient, but you know what? They are better than cheese. Cheese is sort of an entry one because it takes only heals up to 50, and you can only use it up to 100 healing. Your character has 400 health. So let's go into the health and see why that is not such a great thing. So this is your health tab here. So along the top, you've got a number of tabs that will show you different stuff. The health tab will show you the details on your person's health. So when you play in total, when you play in any game, you usually have like a max HP bar, but you've got sort of the individual limbs have got different health bars. So you've got like the head, which has 35, thorax, which is 85, and each of these, if you get hit in the different places, can be zeroed or sort of damaged that way. So if you get shot in the left arm, for instance, whilst you're in raid, you can take up to 60 damage. Once that is zeroed, you have no arm. You are now an amputee. This will affect your max health. So for instance, with the left arm example, you'll have 380 health left. These can be repaired with specialist items called CMS. These are surgical kits, and there is the survive kits as well that do the same thing. These basically bring your limb back from dead. It takes a long time to do this. They are very hard to come by generally. I mean, CMS are pretty cheap these days, so once you're in like the flea market, you're kind of okay. But in the beginning, you will not have access to these, so you want to be careful and make sure that you keep these topped up. A couple of important things to note is which limbs go out will affect you in different ways. So if, for instance, you have either of your legs zeroed, you will struggle to walk. You will start pimp walking everywhere. So you can sort of play against this by using painkillers. Painkillers are another type of med that you can get. So these will basically remove pain, as this one says here. So painkillers remove pain for 80 seconds. These are the ones that you'll have access to in the beginning. Something to bear in mind is that they do give you minus 17 hydration, which out of 100 is quite a lot. That's 17% of your water. So if you haven't got water and things like that, you are going to need to go find some milk to drink, or you are going to die. This will help, get you out when you have just killed a big old juicer and he's just tried to kill you. A couple of limbs that you need to bear in mind is stomach. If you get zeroed on your stomach, you will start to hemorrhage all of that tasty food and water that you've just put in you, and you are going to die pretty soon. So you either need to find yourself a CMS, some food, or an extraction. With each of your arms, it will make it way harder for you to aim. Your arms will start becoming jelly, and you're nervous already. And with your head and thorax, if these get zeroed, you are no longer breathing. So you want to make sure that does not happen if possible. But your head's 35 HP. Keep it down, or you are dead. Throughout all of these things as well, once you're in raid, you have a number of skills. You can see these at the top. These are like a little talent tree, so it's like a mini MMO sort of thing going on. So for doing different stuff, you will increase your levels with each of these. So for instance, you've got endurance here, which influences the amount of stamina, the rate of exhaustion whilst running or jumping, as well as holding or restoring breath. So you should have a look at these, see what sort of things you've got. You've got them specifically for different weapons as well. So for instance, assault rifles, and you get little bonuses. So like for the moment, I'm level 3 with assault rifles. It increases my reload speed by 1%, weapon switch by 2%, and reduces recoil by 1%. So these all start to add up as you play through the game. They're really helpful to create you something much better as it goes through. There are a number that are not available, so you don't need to worry about those at the moment. And yeah, you got all of these different things there. You have a mastering tab, so you can see the different types of weapons kind of get improved. Well, you get a mastery with them as well. Shows you sort of how well you're doing with each gun. You know, you get a lot of kills with them, that sort of thing. The map tab is pretty redundant. You can buy maps from the therapist, but they are pretty shoddy. You can just look them up online, to be honest. There's not a lot of use to them. And finally, the tasks tab is the one where you'll see all of your objectives. So you can see there's a lot of quests that I have not done because I just run customs. On the overall, you'll just see your stats run through here. So you can see from my one here that I have a 54% survival rate and a 4.47 KD, which is not insane, but it is pretty good. I've also got 421 hours online, which is a depressing number. Cool. So I think that's pretty much the menu there. So we've got the dealers as well. So we're up to level 10. These guys are going to be your main source of income. They aren't going to provide you a hell of a lot of stuff at a base level. A couple of ones to take in note are prepper, therapist, maybe ragman. So these guys are going to sort you out with your level 1 stuff. Prepper at level 1, he sells a Mosin, which is a great gun for level 1s, 1 to 10. If you run out of stuff and you've got some money, this is a pretty good purchase. You can take down some pretty juiced people with just the base ammo. So he'll sell this, the LPS GCH ammo for it. This will work pretty effectively against pretty much anyone with average to good armor. Anyone with insane armor, this will sort of ping off of them, but you know, you're before level 10, it's the best that you can sort of ask for. You'll go into these vendors and you've got a couple of different tabs again. So you've got the buy, sell, and tasks tab. So the tasks tab will be where you accept the quests. So it's important when you start off the game just to go through each of the vendors, click on this tasks tab, and make sure that you've got all of these tasks accepted. You've got this sell section here as well, so you can sell anything from your stash on the right hand side to them. So if I wanted to sell prep on my AKS, I can put that into there. And press the, and as you can see, you get 13.9k in rubles for this one. Rubles is your primary currency. You do also get euros and dollars, but you tend to not spend those too much. Peacekeeper will accept dollars only. He is an American after all, so he only accepts the doll hairs. But this is sort of your main sort of money-making way before level 10. I keep talking about level 10. So level 10 is when you unlock the flea market, which is just here. So this is the Tarkov equivalent to eBay. So if you want to buy yourself a sweet ass Bars A26 knife, at the moment, Cuta is selling one for 3,200, and that offer is up for 11 hours. So hopefully no one snipes my price. But no, you can have a little look through once you hit level 10. But this sort of stuff is this is when the game really opens up. So this is when your trade loot is going to become worth a lot more. This is when you can start building those crazy guns that you've seen your level 15 friend running with the 4,000 scopes and the 8 different red dot sights and the 6 laser sights and the 77 barrel fucking mags and all that shit. This is when this sort of stuff becomes available to you. It's expensive for a lot of stuff, so you want to start saving as much money as you can before level 10 where possible. And yeah, I think that's everything on the flea market there. A couple of side notes as well is when you're looking through these vendors in the beginning, all of this stuff is going to be grayed out. Let's see if I can see an example of anything. Fence will probably have one. Yeah. So just like this item here, and this will happen in raid as well. You can't really do anything with this item until you inspect it. So you can do it one of two ways. If you want to right click, examine. It'll take a little time, it'll inspect it, and you'll also get a bunch of XP in the bottom right as well. As that XP adds up, gets you level 10 faster. Do your quests to get to level 10 faster as well. You need to do this with all the items that you can. This will just not only speed up your looting when you're in raid, give you that XP, and you know, it's good to just know what everything is. Have a little look at what you're inspecting. Sometimes you'll find some crazy items. So with the alpha container, this is something I didn't go over. This is an important thing to note. So these ones are a secure container. So when you go into raid, anything that you have put in the alpha container, or lovingly known as your asshole, it will stay with you forever. So no matter what you cram up there, it's coming back out with you. So what I usually recommend having in here is any keys that you might find. So you won't have too many in the beginning, but you might find some throughout the raid through jackets and things like that. These will open sort of locked rooms throughout the map, give you access to better loot. These are really good to have with you in your alpha container, beta container, or whatever container you've got, depending on how rich you are. Another good thing to have in here is your high value meds, so stuff like the Vaseline, maybe a CMS kit, or even say like some expensive ammo. Those sort of things are always really good to keep. Anything that you want to keep. Worth noting is that if you die with the stuff in the alpha container, you do get to keep it. But you'll notice that they don't have this little tick on the bottom right, like you'll find on some items. This item found in raid means that you can sell it on the trade market. So up to level 10, that won't really mean too much unless you find something that is of crazy value. Because you might get a little bit for it from the dealers, but you might not get it from anyone else. So, finally, you've got the hideout. So you're going to have a bunch of little sort of passive bonuses. You can craft some stuff in here as well. So there's a number of different places you can have a look at. I won't go into each of them just yet. I'll probably go into sort of which ones to look at doing in further detail in another video. But here you can see I've got a shooting range, workbench, so stuff like vents and security and rest space. Those are generally just there to kind of help you build upgrades to the other ones. They don't really do too much in terms of like actually giving you anything, but you need them to say hit. Like, so for instance, for nutrition level 2, we need a level 2 toilet, because if you're going to make high class food, you're going to need a high class toilet apparently. So when you go to escape from Tarkov, you get the option of either your scav or your PMC. Your PMC is you. This is the one that you do all your quests on, you get your XP on, you know, your general progression is on this one. As you get through the game, you'll start to learn that doing the PMCs is the best way to make money, because you're in the raid from the beginning. If you do a scav, you are going in as a randomly generated loadout from a pool of loot. So for instance, my guy is looking like he's got a PPSH and some level 3 armor on him, which is not a bad scav at all. With this guy, you can run into a raid and you can loot up to your heart's desire, bring it all out for your PMC. You don't get any XP for the kills you get, but you do get a bunch of stuff that you can then run into your PMC raid, and that's going to give you some big firepower sometimes. You know, it's very important to learn that in the beginning, scav runs are so important, and the thing is with these ones, they aren't just overpowered, you can't just gear up. They do have a 20-minute cooldown. This is quite important. So in the beginning, what I tend to recommend is, you know, run a scav, run a PMC, run a scav, run a PMC. You can alternate like this, because not only are you now then using your scav cooldown efficiently, you're also allowing time for your PMC to recover on the food, health, water, that sort of thing. Yeah, finding that balance is important at the start. Once you get to the point where you've got enough loot that you're comfortable, you could die a few times, you won't be bankrupt, you can still play the game, lovely stuff. You can then run your PMC to your heart's desire, look at cracking out those quests as fast as possible, and also look at, you know, getting those keys, making that money, you know, that sort of thing. But yeah, so when you go into one of these next, you are going to be greeted with a select location. So you've got, how many have we got here? Currently, there are only 6 available, with Streets of Tarkov hoping to be coming in the near future. 7 including labs, but you won't be able to scav on labs. Labs is one that you won't be looking at for a little while. Labs is Juicer Town. So in the beginning, it's important to know that this is a tough game. Okay, this is not a game that will hold your hand. There's not even a tutorial. You know. You need to make sure that you're going in with the right mindset. If you are looking for a simple game to just kind of like kick back and play, this might be a long time before you'll enjoy this, if that's the sort of attitude you're going to have. This game has a steep learning curve. but it is incredibly rewarding for those people that will stick with it. The sensation of getting out with a fat load of rubles is just so uncomparable to many other games. What I would say is, make sure you take the time to study as much as you can, run those scav runs. You can even run offline runs. So in the beginning, the only 2 maps I would recommend to you to learn, just until you're sort of comfortable. This is personal experience. There'll be other people that argue it, but factory, customs. These 2 right here, great ones to learn on. Factory is a quick raid, 15 minutes, 4 to 5 PMCs will start in it. This is important to look at. You need to kind of know how many of these people you're going to expect in the game. Obviously, as you go through the raid, you will find that those player scouts will come into it, and they'll come in to try and finish off anyone that had PMCs haven't. Customs is roughly a 25-minute raid with 8 to 12 PMCs. So this is quite a lot of people. Not nowhere near the most, but it's still quite a lot. These ones are the ones I'd recommend first. Customs is my love. I've played hundreds of hours of Customs. It's my favourite one. It'll also be where a lot of your early quests are. So the Customs and Factory is going to be where the majority of them are. You have the option of selecting time phase, so you have to kind of use your head a little bit here and think, is it going to be light or dark in these times? So generally, between 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. is daytime. 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. is going to be nighttime. In the beginning, try to stick to daytime. If you're a rat and you like the dark, maybe do nighttime, but you might get chatted by somebody with night vision goggles or thermal sights. Got to be careful. So when you click next on this scav, it will just bring you to the party up option. So if you've got any mates that you want to play with, this is where you can invite each other, then click ready to go in. If you're playing a PMC, so say I want to load into Customs, you'll get met with a couple of different options. So this one here is your offline raid test mode. So with this one, if you want to run around the map, shoot some stuff, but without the actual risk, this is a great way to do it. Couple of options to know with this one. You can obviously set the weather conditions and time. I probably wouldn't fuck with that too much. I would pretty much always enable PvE, even if you're not massively comfortable with fighting. There's only one way to learn. Fighting. You can then select the AI difficulty. You get... it starts off in Russian, but you can set as online, so you can see it, you can experience them as you would, and then you've got easy, medium, hard, impossible, random. You can enable the bosses. So pretty much every map will have a scav boss. They are stronger versions of the scavs that spawn in the game. So we've mentioned scavs quite a bit. As I said, you can play as a scav, but when you are in a PMC raid, there are also AI scavs in the game. They'll kind of wander around. They'll look pretty similar to people, but as you get better at the game, you'll start to be able to distinctly notice the differences between what they're doing and what a player would do. So you can kind of sort of tell what is going on with that. When you play as a player scav, you load in and you act as a scav with all your guns and everything, but the way you play is different. You play as a person, So the bosses have advanced AI, advanced weapons. They are pretty good, respectable AI. Once you get used to the game, you start to realize that they aren't as terrifying as they first seem. What's important to know with scavs is that the longer that you stand there fucking with them, the quicker they will aim lock your face. So if you give them a quick peek and a shot and you go back into cover, they'll probably not hit you. There will be times that they will absolutely destroy you, but they won't always do that. So my advice against scavs is try not to re-peek in the same angle if possible. If you have to, make those peaks short. And if you have to do it again, I would probably just hold an off angle and wait for them to push you. Because if you're hurt, especially scav bosses, they'll sometimes try to push you. And yeah, that's this tick box basically says, yeah, chuck those bosses in there. Scav War will make them fight each other, so they don't normally, but this will basically give you some sort of sensation of a war zone. You can set the amount of AI here. Horde, Scav War on Impossible is some craziness. Maybe you want to do that. Quite fun. Tagged and Cursed. This basically means that they will hunt you actively, so the AI will come after you. This is, again, pretty nice if you want to learn. Chucking all of these on is a good way to just have lots of combat coming at you. Can be very overwhelming in combat, though. Important to note as well is that if you do an offline mode, not only do you not lose your gear that you're bringing in, you don't keep any gear or XP that you earn through it. It might look like you do, but you do not, I promise you. So if you want to do that, you click this box, click all the boxes here that you want to, and click next. You'll be met with that same party up screen as we previously had, and you can go into that one. So if I am, say, with my friend, and I want to invite him, so on a PMC, you will be met with an insure status here. So for each of your items here, you can insure them. What that means is exactly what it says here in this bright yellow. So you can select gear, items, and weapons in your raid inventory to insure them, and you have a chance to get them back if they were not looted and not extracted by others after your death. Conditions depend on specific merchants, your standing with merchants, and insurance history. So we have got Prepper as an example. You've also got a Therapist. So you see, my insurance costs are good. And they will have different return rates, different amounts to pay. So if I want to insure my green helmet or the penis helm, you are looking at 3,570, which is not too bad for a helmet that costs about 20 grand. If, for instance, I'm in raid and I kill a guy and I like his helmet more than mine, what I'll tend to do is if my helmet is insured, I'm going to look for a sneaky corner. I'm going to toss my helmet in there, go and grab the guy's helmet and extract with it. What that means is tomorrow, I'm going to open up a goodie bag full of helmets. This is great. This is a great way to make returning money. It's insuring things in the beginning might seem expensive. What I would recommend is if you value that item and it isn't a ridiculously valuable item, or if you're playing with the homies, get that insured. If you have a lovely gun that you've built yourself, you know, you've been saving up these parts for days on end. You found some great ammo. You got this great little system going, and you die, and your gun's insured. You go, hey, Kyle, or whoever your friend is. You go, hey, Kyle, hide my gun, please. And they go, it's mine now. And that's the end. No, they go, sure, yeah, I'll hide it. They hide it in a bush, they throw it over a wall, they Kobe it into the bathrooms, whatever you want to do. And then, yeah, you will, in 24 to 36 hours, or if you do it with the therapist, 10 to 20. I tend to just recommend doing Prepper. It's cheaper. Who gives a fuck how long it's going to take? Just get it back. That is a lot of money saved. That is a lot of money saved. And then, yeah, you go into your selecting bit and you can load in. So it's quite daunting once you load in. But I think that's pretty much the premise of getting started with Tarkov. If you want to have a little play around, do so in the meantime. I'm going to then move on to the in-game guide on the next video, I think. But I appreciate everyone checking this one out. If you stuck around to the end, much love to you. I hope this was informative, and if you have any suggestions or comments regarding this one, just give me a shout in the comments below. Give me a tweet, reach out to me in whatever way you feel comfortable, and I will see you guys on the next one. Don't forget to hit that bell.